Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
Good morning. Our opening words are by the Reverend Ashley Horan. Another world is possible. We say it again and again, even when the proof lies somewhere beyond the horizon, beyond our reach, beyond our imagination. This is our faith. Another world is possible. There are many routes towards liberation, toward freedom, but the abundance of options does not absolve us of the possibility of acting or the responsibility of acting. Another world is possible.
The words for lighting our chalice this morning come from the Reverend Scott Taylor. In the soft light of this flame, may our lives shimmer anew. May we notice new possibility in the relationships that seem lost. May the turning of the year give birth to a dream. May the emerging light pull a new story into view. May what is give way to what might be. May we believe again in the world we imagine. Let us light our chalice in the name of imagination and possibilities. So mote it be. Please join in saying our congregation's affirmation of covenant and singing the doxology in English and Spanish. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. morning and welcome to our continuing virtual worship service for the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces. My name is Brooks Lewis and I'm your service associate for today. I am delighted to be with you this morning. Unitarian Universalism has no creed or dogma. We are a covenant-based church, meaning that we agree to live in relationship with each other according to the Unitarian Universalist principles and our congregation's covenant of right relations. We embrace the diversity in all its forms. Everyone is welcome. You can learn more about our church at our website, UUCLC.org. In order to help contain the spread of coronavirus, all meetings and services of the church are currently being held using Zoom software. If you have any questions about how to use the Zoom, you may contact our office administrator, Sherry Colford. Directly following this service, there will be a 15-minute opportunity to fellowship with one another on the Zoom site. And today, I have these announcements. This evening's disability webinar will begin at 6 p.m. The event will be hosted by the Accessibility Committee of the UU Congregation of Eugene, Oregon. Panelists will draw upon their experience as survivors of traumatic brain injury, reflecting on mental disability, mental health, and practicing respect for all. That's this evening at 6 p.m. The pastoral care teams from UULC and Amarillo UU Fellowship will host Navigating Grief, a 6-week grief recovery course from March 4th through April 8th via Zoom. The classes will run Thursdays from 6 to 8 p.m. our time. The classes will be jointly facilitated by the Reverend Nell Newton from Amarillo. Each session includes time for breakout rooms allowing small group discussions. You must register in advance. Registration closes after the first week, and the link will be posted on the church website. In addition, at 11:30 today, our RE class will be meeting via the Zoom link that you're already in. And at 2 p.m. today, we will have the roundtable discussion. That's all the announcements.
Good morning. My name is Sally Atkinson, and I'm here with Time for All Ages. Today, I'm going to read to you from a book by Kobe Yamada called What Do You Do with an Idea? Uh-oh. One day, I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here, I wondered. What do you do with an idea? At first, I didn't think much of it. It seemed kind of strange and fragile. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just walked away from it. I acted like it didn't belong to me, but it followed me. I worried what others would think. What would people say about my idea? I kept it to myself. I hid it away and didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. But there was something magical about my idea. I had to admit, I felt better and happier when it was around. It wanted food. It wanted to play. Actually, it wanted a lot of attention. It grew bigger, and we became friends. I showed it to people even though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at it. I was afraid they would think it was silly, and many of them did. They said it was no good. They said it was too weird. They said it was a waste of time and that it would never become anything. And at first, I believed them. I actually thought about giving up on my idea. I almost listened to them. But then I realized What do they really know? This is my idea. No one knows it like I do. And it's okay if it's different and weird and maybe a little crazy. I decided to protect it, to care for it. I fed it good food. I worked with it. I played with it. But most of all, I gave it my attention. My idea grew and grew, and so did my love for it. I built a new house, one with an open roof where it could look out at the stars, a place where it could be safe to dream. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big and then bigger. It shared its secrets with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands because, it said, it is good to have the ability to see things differently. I couldn't imagine life without it. And then one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my eyes. It spread its wings, took flight, and burst into the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It wasn't just a part of me anymore, it was a part of everything. And then I realized what you do with an idea. You change the world.
ילדים בחופשה ישחקו תוך לשאת בין הבית לבין השדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. Soon the day will arrive when we will be together and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without wondering whether on that day thunder clouds will appear. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Some have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and their vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope, not in sorrow, and the promise to make a new start. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me.
One of the ways we support one another in community is through the sharing of joys and sorrows. These are joys and sorrows which were sent into the church office prior to this morning's service. If you have a joy or sorrow you would like to share, please use the chat box at this time to send it to Newt, who will announce them later in the service. Here are the ones that we have already. From Sonia Marie Ellis. I've lost so many people to COVID and surrounding issues this year. I've pulled myself away from all my social life to grieve the loss of my loved ones that started with burying my sister on Christmas Eve in 2019. I want to say thank you to the congregation for taking precautions and taking this seriously. And please wear a mask and encourage others to do the same. It can save someone's parents, grandparents, and siblings. Pass masks to all those who need one, including the homeless and youth. Thank you. Michael McCauley died from COVID-19 on Friday night. His wife and children were able to be with him the last few hours of his life. Remember Carol Winkler, who is preparing for a medical procedure. And Chris Ramsey, who is on the mend following a fall and a scare related to her son's health. And the Reverend Nell Newton, who received the vaccination while, unbeknownst to her, she had a mild case of the shingles. The vaccine triggered an immune response that resulted in Bell's palsy. Remember all those who have received the COVID vaccine and are awaiting round 2. And for all those still waiting for the first shot. Patience. I have something that is both a joy and a sorrow. My dear friend Kathleen O'Keenan, who lives in Greensboro, North Carolina, was admitted to advanced care this week and is expected to not live out the week. It's a joy because it's the ending of a long road of suffering and pain. And it's a sorrow because I will miss my dear friend. And we have a joy because we have to go out on a joy, right? From Steve Hitchka, is joyful that he received his first shot on Thursday, and his second shot is scheduled for February the 10th.
The joys that were and sorrows that were shared with me today from Catherine Massey, the prayers for all educators in Las Cruces, as decisions will be made by our district Tuesday about going back into the classroom with our students. Yes, please. And from Susan, she was saying what a joy it is to see our beloved community today. Amen. And that is all I have received in the chat.
Thank you, Newt and Brooks, for those joys and sorrows. I invite us all to a moment of prayer and meditation. Today's prayer and meditation is from my colleague, the Reverend D. Scott Cooper. We bow our heads in order to imagine not one path, but many. We imagine a path forward for those who cannot imagine any path forward. We struggle to imagine a path forward for those who have hope, again, for a path to citizenship. We imagine a bright future for those dealing with COVID and those awaiting the vaccine. We come together to imagine a path forward for those of us despairing. We imagine a path forward for those who feel lonely. We hope beyond hope for the bright future we can only imagine. We ask these and the prayers of our hearts and those spoken today into the silence. We ask these prayers and meditations of our hearts in the name of all persons present and absent, known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, and all helpers of humankind. Let us all say, wherever we are, Amen, Ashe, and let it be so.
Our reading this morning is from Heart to Heart by Christine Robinson and Alicia Hawkins. And the reading is taken from Deuteronomy 6, verses 10 through 12, adapted by Peter Rabel, a UU minister. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves at fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know. We are ever bound in community.
Listen to what you have to say.
Good morning again, and welcome to everyone this morning. It's a beautiful January morning, and believe it or not, the year is 1/11 already gone. So I'm grateful for being here this Sunday morning, this last day of January. I want to thank all of the worship team members for all their commitment and dedication to making this a beautiful worship service this morning. I'm going to visit with you this morning on the idea of possibilities for 2021, and I've added a subtitle, Tough Times and Tough People. Last week, I referred to the Reverend Robert Schuller, the late great preacher from Garden Grove, California, who went door to door with his wife, meeting people in their church's neighborhood. Well, I went back and listened to some of Schuller's sermons and thought it might be interesting to preach a similar style of message for you today. So today's sermon is a compilation of Schuller and XK. Hold on to your horses. I was talking to a best friend, Ray Smith, this week, who lives in Maryland and is preparing for a medical procedure. Like my wife, he's a cancer survivor. Unlike my wife, he's almost summited Mount Kilimanjaro. Our very own Carol Bloom has summited Kili. I said to him, brother, you and Tamara have endured some tough times in life. You deserve to be in a special category of tough people who push through struggles and last. He said, that's a good way to look at it. Both of them have realized the proceeds of gifts well invested in possibility. Tough, tough people. In the song Sign from Above by Lady Gaga and Elton John, they sing, when I was young, I felt immortal. And not a day went by without a struggle. I lived my days just for the nights. I lost myself under the lights. When I was young, I felt immortal. Where does our feeling of immortality go over the years? It seems to slip through our fingers like sand as life presents tough times. Well, here are a few ideas that I want to share with you. Proverbs 23:7 is a favorite verse of mine. It reads, as a person thinks in their heart, so are they. I tried to summarize that simple Bible verse with a little slogan I think you can remember. The me I see is the me I will be. The me I see is the me I will be. How do you see yourself today? How do you rate your self-confidence? Do you see yourself as valuable or worthless? I saw a cartoon a while back of two bums sitting on a bench. Their toes were coming out of their shoes, their clothes were tattered, and their hats were disheveled. One bum said to the other bum, no man is completely worthless. He can always serve as a lousy example. How do you see yourself today? Well, there are three major emotional demons that I believe block persons of faith in life that could cause us to become possibility thinkers. The three emotional demons are inferiority, inadequacy, and incompetence. In all of these three negative emotions, you can find release. And with the release, you will begin to think it's possible. There's so much negativity in our country today. It's incredible. I've been talking to people over the last few months, and I know I've been in touch. People look at the COVID-19 response and the unemployment situation all around them, and they are concerned. Rightfully so. There's a widespread negativity in our country, even with the vaccine rolling out. What's the solution? The solution is not to look at the problem, but to look at the possibilities. Absolutely. And it all starts when you begin to believe that you can do more than you ever imagined yourself doing. Reverend Schuler speaks of speaking at a convention when there were 2,000 salespersons, super successful direct sales operation. And the leader was a woman who dropped out of school. Her father was a university graduate and very successful, a top corporate chief. And when his daughter dropped out of high school, he knew this was terrible. So she went through life with a negative self-image. I'm nobody. I can't do anything. I don't have a high school diploma, etc., etc. She got into possibility thinking. And then she was introduced to a product, a very good product, a product that people needed, a product that had integrity. And she heard people say, you can become a salesperson. She said, I can't be a salesperson. I'm no salesperson, never have been. And besides, I'm not very smart, I guess. But then she said, I heard I should think it is possible and I can. So she signed up, she got involved, and now she has 2,000 employees in her company. She's super successful, but it all starts right here in your head. And there is no person listening to me who doesn't have the freedom to choose. Or you may have an idea, as we heard from Sally Atkinson and her birds, I might add. But you say these are tough times. I say tough times never last, but tough people do. If I had the money, I would buy billboards all along the roads in the country, all 50 states. If I had the money, I would buy billboards in the unemployed pockets of America, and I'd plaster only one sentence. Tough times never last, but tough people do. Stick it up in your company bulletin board. Put those words up in the bookstores or put them in the schools. We have some educators here. Wherever you are, put it up in your home. Tough times never last, but tough people do. I have personally made a few trips to South Korea. And I remember reading about South Korea right after the war. I have never in my life heard of such a bleak, barren, desolate, and defeated country. There wasn't a single green living tree in South Korea following the Korean War. You know why? During the war, times were so tough, they cut down the trees and ate the leaves. They peeled the bark and they boiled the bark in water. They kept boiling until the bark was all boiled, and they had a thick black soup, and they lived on the soup, bark soup. Spending the sub-zero winters, they consumed the wood for fuel until every tree was gone. Tough times. What a UU thinks in their heart matters. If they think in their heart they can be somebody, they can overcome. They are a tough person. Tough times never last, but tough people do. Sometimes I say to myself, here in the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces, these are super successful people. And I look at Brother Flowers right now, and others like him who are successful, and many have retired. They got it all figured out, I say to myself. They've got life on cruise control. What is it I can say to them at this stage of their lives? They don't seem to have any problems or worries. They got it made. Who am I to say, think on these things, do this or do that? Then I say to myself, maybe there's one person out there who's still trying to get it together. Someone like me. If I can just inspire that one person today, I will have done my job. So I'm here to say to that one person, tough times don't last. Tough people do. We think we're going through a difficult time with this pandemic, but that's because we're focusing on what we can't do because of the lockdown, wearing masks. No doubt it's very serious when 400,000 of your country people have died. Maybe you're going through some medical issues, financial strains, or relationship problems. Think of the possibilities before you. With the extra time on your hands, you are free to do magnificent things. And this church needs you to do the magnificent. Focus not on the problems, but the possibilities. Tough times never last, but tough people do. The Deuteronomist, as translated by the late Reverend Peter Rabel, says, "We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves at fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant." We, my friends, must continue to build on those foundations and tend to those flames of light that were lit for us. And when we're tired, we'll sit under the shade of those trees. But as for now, there are many possibilities out there for you. What dreams do you have for this church? How do you want to see change in the coming year? In what ways do you want this community to grow? My friends, you are only limited by your own imagination. South Korea reimagined and transformed itself. Today, it is a G8 powerhouse economy, world leader, filled with trees that line the boulevards as you drive through Seoul. This works. Schuler tells the story of his church's early days. One day, he saw smoke curling up from the north. He wondered if there was a fire and drove out to look. There were huge mountains of orange trees bulldozed on top of each other. Men were burning them. And he asked, why? And they said, somebody's building a park there. He asked, who? They said, Walt Disney. Disneyland opened, and the rest is history. Walt Disney, when he was 21 years old, experienced his first total failure. Talk about being poor. He lived on a sofa and old sofa cushions. It was an old castaway sofa. He slept on them. Food? Beans out of a tin can. Soup made of bark. Tough times never last. Tough people do. Let me tell you something. You are tougher than you think you are. You are tremendous, and here's why. You have the freedom today to set any goal you want to set, to pick any dream you want to pick. And I'll never get finished telling people I've learned one thing. There are no great people. That's an illusion. It's an error of perception. There are no great people, my friends. There are just ordinary people. Only some have made bigger decisions and had bigger dreams and unstoppable ambitions. You choose the dream, and from that point on, the dream will choose your future. And if you're unemployed today, you're lucky. I mean, you're free to start something new. Absolutely. It takes guts to leave the ruts, of course. The me I see is the me I'll be. Now, there are always those who carry it a bit too far. I remember a funny story. A guy was leading the parade down the street, he and the band, and the trombonist became ill at the last minute. So he put out a call for a trombonist. One young man stepped forward who was suited up, and they were marching down the street. They got into their number, and the trombonist was horrible. When it was all finished, the band leader said, "Why didn't you tell me you couldn't play the trombone?" Kid said, "How did I know? Never tried it before." Walt Disney said something. They asked, "How did you get from a can of beans and a failure and living on sofa cushions outdoors? How did you get from there to where you are now?" He said, "I never knew what I couldn't do." Good gracious. He never knew what he couldn't do. So I was willing to try anything. That is possibility thinking. What are you trying to do this year? What are your goals? What are your dreams? How do you see yourself 11 months from today? Here is something that I invite you to ponder. The you see is the you'll be. Likewise, the you see is the you'll be. The greatest slugger of all time died 2 weeks ago. He broke home run records before they were juicing in baseball. Then he went on to become a great baseball executive, business leader, and philanthropist. During Hank Aaron's memorial service last Wednesday, Dr. Valerie Rice, the president of and dean of the Morehouse School of Medicine, told how Hank and Mrs. Aaron gave the medical school $3 million. When his wife was hesitant about the gift, Aaron said to her, "I got this." Dr. Rice remarked that Aaron, I quote, used his gift to make a living, and he used the proceeds of that gift to make a life. What kind of life are you making with your gifts? Don't let thoughts of mortality get you down. Don't let negativity get you down. Don't let this pandemic get you down. Keep using your gifts. You have the choice. Make a living or make a life. Speaking of mortality, I'm going to close with this story I heard in the movie News of the Day about a newsreader portrayed by Tom Hanks after the Civil War. It goes like this. For this final story of the day, a man dead and buried has risen from the grave. 3 days ago in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a Mr. Alfred Blackstone of 47 years fell into a stupor. His wife called the physician, but there was no pulse. It was determined that Mr. Blackstone was, most unfortunately, dead. He was buried very swiftly on the grounds of the local church where, as divine providence would have it, a wedding was due to take place the following day. But nearing the church doors, the bride abruptly stops. From the cemetery beyond, she heard this inexplicable sound. Desperate, unmistakable hammering of life. In a state of frantic excitement, she ran to the nearby grave marked Alfred Blackstone. And within moments, the entire wedding congregation was digging. Finally, poor Alfred Blackstone was pulled from the earth, very much alive. And from his widow Blackstone's embrace, Alfred turned to the groom and said, and I quote, "Feller, when you get in that church and she says, 'Till death do us part,' don't you believe a word of it. If anyone says you can't do something, don't you believe a word of it." Ashe, amen, and let it be so.
Despite the fact that we must practice social distancing in order to slow the effect of the COVID-19 virus, we remain connected in spirit as a beloved community. Many of the expenses of the church continue despite our not meeting in person. Please refer to the electronic order of service to see how you can continue to making your pledges, or refer to the member section of the church website. The church is continuing its support of the organizations identified by the Social Action Committee as recipients for our Change for Change program. We can't collect the actual change, so please convert whatever coins you would donate and continue your Change for Change donations by sending a donation specifically marked Change for Change. This quarter's donation will go to the Cherished Canine All Breed Rescue, founded in 2013. It's dedicated to rescuing lost, abandoned, neglected, and abused dogs in Las Cruces and Doña Ana County. If you are joining this worship service with us online, or looking for a spiritual home and are sympathetic with Unitarian Universalist values and principles, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces may be the place for you. We believe that when you become a member, you are entering into a warm and deep relationship with the church and all our members and friends. You are becoming a part of something much bigger than any of us. You are becoming a part of a movement to change our community and our world. The way you join the church here is to sign the membership book, which is not available right now. However, please call the church and leave a message so that a member of the membership committee can contact you, or use the link available in the order of service.
Our closing hymn is "We're Gonna Sit at the Welcome Table." We're gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. I invite you to sing with me. Sorry. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. We're gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. All kinds of people. All kind of people at the table. All kinds of people around that table one of these days, hallelujah. All kinds of people around that table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. No fancy style. No fancy style at the table. No fancy style at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. No fancy style at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. We're gonna sit there. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. We're gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days.
Thank you, Catherine Massey, for the beautiful music, and to Brooks and Knut and Sally for making this a beautiful service, and of course to all of you who have joined us this beautiful and last Sunday of January 2021. Our closing words are from the famous and well-known American Carter G. Woodson, historian and author of The Miseducation of the Negro and founder of Black History Month, which begins tomorrow. Woodson was the second African-American awarded a doctorate from Harvard University after W.E.B. Du Bois, who was the first. Woodson is quoted as saying, "When you control a man's or a person's thinking, you do not have to worry about their actions." And let us remember the words of the late, great Cicely Tyson, who died this week at 96. She said just last week, "I made up my mind I could not afford the luxury of just being an actress. I would use my career as my platform." May we all be so wise.
Please join me in the words for extinguishing our flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
My mother, when love is gone, my mother, when love is gone, in our darkest hour, hope lingers on. My father, when peace is gone, my father, when peace is gone, in our darkest hour, hope lingers on. I will not hate, and I will not fear in our darkest hour. Hope lingers here, my sister, when equality's gone, my sister, when equality's gone, in our darkest hour, hope lingers on. My brother, with tolerance gone, my brother, with tolerance gone, in our darkest hour, hope lingers on. I will not hate, and I will not fear in our darkest hour. Hope lingers here, my love, when honor is gone, my love, when honor is gone, in our darkest hour, hope lingers on. My country, when justice is gone, my country, when justice is gone, in our darkest hour, hope lingers on. I will not hate, and I will not fear in our darkest hour. Hope lingers here. I will not hate, and I will not fear in our darkest hour. Hope lingers here.
That concludes our worship service today. I will put you out in breakout rooms now. Like I've said before, if I put you in a breakout room and it's not where you want to be, just politely exit and come back to the main room, and I can try to get you in somewhere else. All right, there we go. Where's VJ?
Hi, Ed. Are you there?
I'm here.
Ed?
The whole Zoom dropped for some reason, and I had to get back in.
Weird. Yeah, we were putting a break. Nobody else there.
Yeah, I was.
The same thing happened to
It seemed like I
me.
was being transferred, and it just dropped. So I figured I'd come back into the main.
Yeah,
meeting. My
I'm
background
sorry.
isn't working for some reason.
I'm
You can see my
sorry.
green screen.
I'm sorry that you guys got, that I put in, I try to do it as quickly as I can, and then some people drop, and so you end up in a room by yourself. But I was trying to put you guys into different rooms here, so I will.
Whatever. Yeah, well, Clayton had been there, but his helper said he had left, so there's nobody in 5.